Hey guys, Trigger John coming at you with another Awaken Chaos Era video. Today's video is going to be the very in-depth, end-game gear cleanse for your account, what to be doing, how to manage it, what's the best tactics or way to really get into it, and kind of decipher what kind of gear that you really need to be holding on to, what you don't need to be holding on to, and what's really going to make the difference on your account. All right, so we are back. I was able to crop it in there a little bit where we can keep the spreadsheet pulled up, and that way you guys have a better idea as to what I'm doing and kind of what to look for as I'm making these calls on these pieces of gear. I'm gonna go ahead and start on those rings. Like I said, I do highly recommend you put on some music, something to keep yourself slightly entertained. I think the last time I did one of these, I think it took me, I want to say it was 7 hours on an account, about 7 hours to go through and do an actual in-game gear cleanse. And I do I do those. I charge for them, but it's rough. 7 hours is a lot of hours to do a true takeover, as well as 7 hours on your own account. So definitely don't be upset if this seems like it's a long process and you're really getting like things are just getting drawn out for you. It's normal. That's the way it is. That's why I say put some music on, throw something in the background, kind of keep you from falling asleep while you're doing this, because it's not fun. Honestly, it's at some point in time it gets a little bit infuriating, honestly, because some rolls you're like, oh, it's the perfect piece of gear, and you're like, oh, I found the hidden diamond, and then you roll it and you're like, ah, crap, well, that sucks. And then you got to keep moving on. So with that being said, we're gonna do all of our rings. Now we have a lot of locked rings and we have a lot of unlocked rings. What I'm gonna do is most of my locked rings, these are rings that have potential to be something good. So if I pull this one up here, that way you can see the stats. This has all percent stats because, as you know, any flat stat on a piece of gear has more tendency to roll on it. So in an in-game account takeover, we are not rolling gear that has flat stats. If we do, it's only double crit rate, crit damage, and it has to roll one or the other within the first 6 rolls. If it does not, it's trash. So in this case, we have a ring here. This is an attack percent ring with crit rate, defense, HP, focus. Now, attack percent rings are only good really for your leaders, your igniters, and your characters that use crit rate, attack, and crit damage when crit rate and crit damage is present. In this case, crit rate is present. This is a locked piece of gear. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna roll this only to level 6. And this has to roll, basically, in my opinion, this would have to roll a double crit rate or a crit rate in HP to be viable. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come over here and we're gonna go ahead and snag our blues. Let's just start the easy stuff off out of the way. So let's go ahead and grab that. All right. Now this needs to roll. Okay, so what crit rate and focus, unfortunately, and then if you look at the crit rate here, this is a 5. So it started off as a 5, then it goes to a 11, which is a +6. That's mid-tier range. So we're already basically one above the min, and then we're halfway through the middle. It's honestly, this is just not going to pan out very well. This is a +6. So what we would really like to see here is a double crit rate or crit rate and HP. Now focus is also very helpful, and as you see here, we did get a max roll and then a minimum or a mid roll, but that's 2 mid rolls. And then you got to look at all the other substats, right? Look at the attack percent, HP percent, defensive percent. These should all be 10s for the base, and then they're not, right? They're 7, 6. So this kind of tells me that this is going to be like a mid-tier piece of gear. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to trash it now. Now, I know this is a lot of explanation and something that you probably are like, well, whatever, John, like that was kind of a no-brainer. But it's that step-by-step breakdown that makes this possible. So now I'll unlock this, and I know that there's a piece of gear that's rolled up to 6 now that's unlocked, and I'm going to keep feeding that back into. So that's how this process works, is the next piece of gear I'm going to grab it, but I'm going to feed this one back in there because I've already done a gold investment on it, and I want to get my return on investment. This helps you manage your gold better. I know I've had a lot of people comment on my gold videos and are like, well, John, like, okay, like your advice really isn't all that great for how to manage my gold or how not to run out of gold. And like, well, it kind of is. I've been following my own advice, and I don't buy gold packs, and I'm up to 41 million gold. So it works well. It's just a matter of discipline. So let's go ahead, let's get back into this. So let's keep going through these rings. This, like I said, this is a long process. I don't know that I'll record this entire process. I may do this for 20-30 minutes, and then I'll come back when it's finished. I'll show you the finished result, and then we may hop on to the next one, kind of record a little bit of it, and then show you as well. We'll kind of see. So let's go ahead and let's pick out. So we have a few other pieces of gear here. Now notice these went to 9. Let's just double check to make sure these are worth it. All right, so we have right here, this is a +2. So this is rolled 2 times and it's 24%. So really this is not very good rolls, because at a +2, this had a base plus an additional 2. So the max would be about 30, and we've lost 6 of that. So it's kind of, I mean, we maybe an 8 roll each time. I guess it's not terrible, but it's not the greatest. But this is overall went ahead and did okay. We'll keep it for right now. But this would be something that in an in-game, I would say this is trash because of the attack. We don't want flat attack. We don't want to see those kind of stats on our end-game gear. Mainly because when we go to roll these to 15, we have such a high chance of this rolling to the flat stat that it's kind of a waste, to be honest with you. Even this one right here, I really want to roll this one more time to 12 to see if this goes crit rate, because if it does not go crit rate, it's complete trash. And honestly, you know what? It's got 2 flat stats. We're gonna let that one go right now. We're doing an in-game gear cleanse. That's the kind of stuff we cannot have on our account. So one other thing to note is I like to start with my locked pieces of gear versus my unlocked ones. And that's because I've already made a judgment call on these pieces of gear. So I know there is something there that stands out that's potentially good. Now, this piece is probably from when I did my mid-tier cleanse. I don't like this defense. I don't like the base defense here, but this is a Raider ring with speed. Now, speed max roll is 6, min roll is 3. So this is on the upper side of this, and it's a Raider set. So it's automatically a pretty decent value. It's got focus and crit rate on it, which is very helpful. And it's an HP ring, which is going to be something that's going to be good for a support unit. So we're going to keep this and go ahead and roll it. Normally, like I said, those defensive or the flat stats, we really don't want to have, right? In this case, because of the other outlying factors, we'll go ahead and we'll keep it. We'll roll it up. Now, before I use these ones here, I'm going to go through and I'm going to grab, we're going to hide, and I'm going to grab the ones that I already had. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is why this is a little time consuming, but I'm going to go ahead and take these. This one's 6. We're going to take that one right there because we're only going to roll everything up to 6. Once we identify everything is at 6, then you can go back through and you can filter in even more stats. But we're gonna roll everything to 6 because within 2 rolls, you have a really good idea what the trend is on that piece of gear. Go ahead and continue. Okay, this one defense and focus. That's a good rip. So it's no longer a viable piece of gear in my opinion. We have a flat stat rolled on it, so this is going to be gonzo. We're going to go ahead and unlock it, and we've eliminated another locked piece of gear. This is how you kind of get around also what you saved, and it also gives you a better idea of what kind of pieces of gear to save for because of what they're going to tendencies are to roll, right? Everything in a gacha game is a series of patterns. This is why we play these games. These aren't games that are designed to, like, you know, oh yeah, this was awesome, this was so much fun. You know, they are, because it is a lot of fun, but at the end of the day, it takes a lot of resources and a lot of mental fortitude. So getting that resolve and noticing patterns is very easy to do. That's potential. Okay, let's keep going through here. That put me at 6 here. So let's go ahead and rip it. See what we get. Flat stat, it rolled on the flat, so it's gone. Another easy peasy one. So far, these have not been hard ones to do, and I like that. And I do like that I'm also doing all my legendary ones first. That's kind of cheating, not gonna lie, because there's always the idea of what happens when you roll a purple piece of gear and it can roll other stats, and you're like, oh well, it'll be fine. Like this one here, once again with this flat stat, this is probably gonna be an instant rip, not gonna lie. Honestly, survival, the only reason why we're going to roll it is because it's revival. And a lot of people will probably argue in the comments below, which is fine, about flat stats aren't the end of the world, and they're not. But unfortunately, if you're doing an in-game gear cleanse, it means you've already gotten all the gear you need to get you to the end game. So do you really need to do these extra steps of keeping pieces of gear that don't like directly impact and influence your account? The answer is no, you don't need to do that. You really should not waste your time, because you've already made it to the point where you can farm the gear. So it's okay to let go of that trash gear. Like, you've already made it, right? This is just to better improve this. This is to speed up your DPSers, to build out more attack champions. This one is rolled flat, so it's trash, it's instant trash. But that's why I say that don't get these flats, because you're losing the value on your pieces of gear, because flats are weighted higher, so you get more chance you're going to roll a flat, as well as percent stats on 99.9% characters benefit you so much more when you take them to 60. This is in game. This isn't, you know, you can't have this crap gear and expect good results. Now here's one that's a conundrum. Here's an attack percent, but notice the crit rate is at 5, which is one above the min. Crit damage is at 7, which is about mid tier, and HP is 6, which is about a mid tier. This is probably going to roll terrible. This is probably going to roll double flat, or honestly it's probably going to roll 1 flat and maybe 1 crit rate. And I think that's where a lot of people would struggle and be like, oh well, it got crit rate roll, so it could be good. And if it does that, we're going to toss it. And the reason being is because we know the base of this is very minimum. We know it's not a super high base, so we're gonna go ahead and trash it. All right, so let's see what we get. Now watch it roll double crit rate and get us max tiers. Nope, that made it super simple. We got a 9 on the HP, which is pretty good. That's high tier. However, we got a essentially we got another like 120 something or whatever on the HP, and that's honestly, that's about minimum. It's a little over minimum. So it's a terrible trend. We're never going to get anything beneficial out of this piece of gear, so it's going to go ahead and it's going to get trashed. But it's those calls. And the thing to note here is, because I'm feeding back in all these 6 stars, I don't have to go through and manage them again. I know I'm getting rid of my junk and it's no longer a problem. And yes, I know you can lock, you can unlock, and that's also a thing. However, I'm managing my gold better, I'm managing my system better, because I'm going back through it. It's kind of like a double check, right? It's like, oh, well, did I really want to do that? Yes, I did. Okay, so it's worth it. It's worth the time and invested energy. Notice we're almost done with the locked ones. And like I said, I always start with the locked ones first, mainly because you'll notice as you get to a certain point, as you're going through this, you'll lock other pieces of gear, and then you'll have to go back through. So we start with all the locked ones, and then that way we just keep doing all the locked ones, and eventually you're gonna run out of locked ones. So it just works. It kind of self-feeds itself as far as what your priorities should be. Okay, so here we have a flat defense, HP. Now, this is on a dragon scale set, flat defense. I'm not even gonna roll this one. This is gonna be instant unlock and trash for me, because once again, we're doing in-game, and that's just, that set with that particular stats are just not gonna cut it on my account. Okay, here's another crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage. These have super high chances and probabilities. Now, the crit damage is upper to the upper end. It's +8. Crit rate is +5. Notice the bottom is +4 for crit rate, so it's 1 above, which is kind of a rip. However, resistance is high, right? Resistance base is 10.5. Attack is at 26, which is literally a min roll here. This is so. What's probably going to happen here is we're gonna roll attack, like 2 flat attacks. I'm calling it right now. We're gonna roll 2 flat attacks, and then I'm gonna be able to get rid of the piece of gear, because it's just, when we're starting out with a mins that low, chances are this is just not going to end well for us. That could be potentially good. And see what I mean? Like, so that one I just went ahead and I locked it again. And that's because it had potential. So same thing. This one's not going to get locked because it's a min roll on speed. Flat stat. There we go. Let's go ahead and push that up there to 6. Let's see what we get. And like I said, we got another almost a min roll. It's a +30. Which attack is it's like just above the min on the flat, and then it went crit rate, and it only went +7, which +7 is good. I mean, that's upper tier. However, it's just not going to buff out. We've already rolled once into a flat stat. Chances of that getting any better are very, very slim to none. So this piece of gear is going to be trash. All right, moving on. Okay, so we have so far Our legendaries that are locked are done. Now we will eventually get to those, don't worry. Let's go down the list, see if we got anything else. Okay, here's one. Now this is a crit damage with crit rate and attack percent with flat HP. Now flat HP is pretty decent. Also notice that it's a 184 on the HP and the flat HP, and 215 is our high. Our attack is 8% out of the 10. Our crit rate is only at 6, which is a little low, but it's kind of the middle of the run. So this has potential. This could be a very good piece of gear if we get lucky on the rolls. So let's roll this up to 6. And this is literally how this goes, guys. Honestly, what you're doing is you're rolling every piece of gear up to 6, and then you're just kind of backtracking and feeding in other pieces of gear as you go. So that way you get this higher number. I'm avoiding all charms, using all charms. And I'm doing that purposely because at one point I'm gonna run out of pieces to feed in here, and I'm gonna need to take something else in here. Okay, so here we go. So this is crit damage, and then this just rolled a double attack percentage, okay? So double attack percentage is good. However, this is 3 rolls, right, on attack percent because we had a base +2, so that's a +3, right? Essentially. And the maximum attained could be 30. Right, if we look at our attack percent, 10% here, so we could have 30% total here. We lost 7% within 3 rolls. Now if we do that math here, we have lost 7% in 3 rolls, so we sacrificed about 2 per roll, so that puts that about an 8 per tier. Not terrible, right? Not terrible. It's kind of it's above average. However, the minimum is only 6 on attack percentage, so it's straight run of the mill. This one will take this up to 9, and what we'll do is if this goes to 9 and it hits attack percent again, it doesn't increase the average, it's gonna be trash. Okay, so that's what this means. This is literally an in-game gear cleanse, so doing stuff like this is pretty common. All right, so we're gonna take this one over here that was 9, that's trash. We're gonna feed it in here. Ideally, I'd like to see crit rate. If we get a crit rate roll, this could potentially get saved. Okay, we got a crit rate. Oh, it was almost a min roll. That's kind of unfortunate. It was a min roll. It's kind of unfortunate. Okay, so this is another tough one. However, so far statistically, we haven't went outside of a decent, like a terrible variance. So this is worth taking up to 12. Now this is where this gets expensive, and this is where you can make your call by yourself if you want to do this now in the process, or if you want to do it later. Myself, I like to do these ones later. I like to lock this piece of gear. Oh, it's already locked. And then I'll go back through and I'll see these 9s, and I'll roll these 9s up to 12. Now I try to keep all my gear rolled at least to 12 or above, because if it's rolled anything under it, chances are I'm not using it, or I know it's trash. So at this point I have 2 pieces of gear that are rolled at 9. One being this one, and then another one probably from another gear cleanse I started to do. I'll leave these both at 9, and we'll come back and we'll circle back because everything's gonna get rolled up to 12 eventually. But to call a piece of gear good or bad, I at least roll it to 6 to give it a chance. Okay. Moving on. This is a crit rate. It has crit damage. It has a flat HP and a precision. Flat HP is kind of on the lower end. It's actually the minimum. Crit damage is at 8%, which is upper end, but not the greatest. Precision is 4, which is right above the minimum, so this is kind of going to be a rip. This has got to roll really well into the crit damage to really be worth it, or it's just going to be a straight flash, like it's just straight trash. We'll see. Once again, I'm picking out all the flat pieces. Flats are instantly gone. I'm not interested in them. They don't really serve a whole lot of purpose on my account. I am also going to be at one point in time looking at what sets they are per stat, because even though stats over sets is definitely the best and most common practice decision, it really is, and it's super impactful to your account. However, when you get to the end game, sometimes stats over sets just doesn't justify itself. Like, it doesn't justify the means, and you have to kind of make those calls, because when you're in game, you're kind of looking to prioritize what stats you have on a piece of gear that synergize with the set, so that way you could really dedicate some good resources to your character. Okay, so that's a flat stat there. We're almost to level 6. Okay, this puts us to 6. This is a crit rate one with crit damage of 7, speeds of 4. We'll keep it. We'll roll that, but it's probably gonna be trash. Okay, here we go. Let's take this up to 6. Now this has got to basically roll crit damage, and it rolled a flat crit damage. It's trash, which I kind of thought it would do that. I not gonna lie, full disclosure, I knew this was probably gonna end badly, but we went ahead and we rolled it anyways because that's what we do. Now notice once again, I started locking pieces of gear as I went through, right? So now we're going to be recycling these locked pieces of gear. And this is how this gets efficient. It's because you're picking through this. So here we go. Now we've got a 6 that's at the very beginning. I have this unlocked piece of gear here. So let's go ahead and let's go through it. You know, we're needling it down. Now this is attack percent with a defensive percent, crit rate, HP. Not good. Attack percent and defensive percent do not synergize correctly. This would really need like a speed, a precision, and agility, something like here for the stat, not defense. We don't want rainbow stats because you're gearing at this point to a certain spec that you're trying to achieve. HP percent, this has got halfway decent upper tier, not terrible, not great. We'll go ahead and lock that. We'll roll that. That's a roll it to 6, see what it gets. That's a flat there. That's trash. Attack defensive percent, waste of time. Rip. All right, so this, oh no, this is a tough one. So this unlocked crit damage, and unlocking the crit damage was great. However, we should have, that's 2 rolls, so that's 20, and we've already lost 6. So we've sacrificed a lot of potential crit damage on this piece of gear. And this is an HP percent one, so chances are we don't need crit damage. So this no longer synergizes. So this is really unfortunate, and this is a 2 out of the 5. So now these other 3 would have to go down here. This would have to land like HP percent, speed, and defense to really be worth it. Overall, this piece is now trash. It's unfortunate because crit damage is amazing. Everybody loves to have a good crit damage. Unfortunately, it just doesn't synergize correctly with the main stat and the other stats that are on that piece of gear. Let's find that piece of gear. Right here. Yep. Unlock it, and yeah, we'll keep moving on. So that's one of those tough break situations, but it happens quite often. Now this is an HP percent piece of gear, so this is HP percentage with speed, resistance, focus. Now the resistance is kind of kind of on the upper tier. Focus is definitely like right almost above the bottom. Speed is at a 5 out of 6, so it's on the upper echelon. Starts with a base of 9. Not terrible. We'll go ahead and we'll roll this one up. This one, attack percent with crit damage, flats, trash. Defensive percent, HP, ooh. Has defense and HP synergize so well together, especially on like rare pieces of gear, because chances are you're trying to go fast. Precision's always helpful as well. Crit damage is hard. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna trash it because chances are this just would not get used because it doesn't have speed on it. Attack percentage with crit rate, defense. Once again, defense percent just does not synergize well, and it had a min roll on speed. All right, flat stats make this super easy, right guys? And then you got to make sure, like I almost got too click happy here and I almost went above 6. We got to keep these at 6 because then we know our system, right? Our system only works if we know how it works and we know how we're going to manage it. Now this one rolled okay, so we got a speed roll here. It was a 4, which is right above the minimum. So this was a 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. Now this should be a double, so the chances are this is 9 out of 12 potential. That's not bad. So the way you kind of think of this is like, you know, you do the math here. That's 9 out of 12 possible. So it's a 75%. It's a little bit above like a C average. I'll take a 75% percentile piece of gear, and then it unlocked defense percent. Defense percent, HP percent roll really well. This is a raider piece of gear that's getting speed on it. Kind of a no-brainer that this one's going to go ahead and get saved. Or no, this is a warrior. I was hoping that was raider, but it's okay. It's still good. It's still a good piece of gear. All right, moving on to the next one. This is defense percent, HP percent, like I just said. Speed, there we go. Resistance, okay. We're working with a little bit above bottom, but not by much. So chances are this one's gonna roll pretty bad. But we want to, you give everything the benefit of the doubt, because sometimes I've had it where you get 2 or 3 upper tier rolls, and you're like, oh wow, this was great. Like I never would have thought this would roll this. And yeah, the next thing you know, you got a really good piece of gear, and you're like, oh okay, well this works out pretty good for me. Nope. Flat stats, you just can't keep them, guys. It's really hard to justify a flat stat. I know there's a lot of you that are probably going to be raging while you watch this video, and that's fine, but I'm not going to keep them. It's just going to pigeonhole me later, and I've already had a maxed out bag, so it's not like I can't hold on to those kind of gear. Like I have to have gears that produce results. Now here is an amazing one, kind of. What is this? Oh, it's not that great. Oh man, now that I do the math. So this is a +3 on HP percentage right here. So this should be 30. So we're 21 out of 9. So once again, percentile, right? 21 out of 30. We lost 9. This is a 70. It's kind of oof. You guys can't even see the calculator. Let me move the calculator for you guys so you can see it. I apologize, you guys missed that other one. So here's what I'm talking about when I say this. So notice it's a 70. It's because we could get a 30, right? So this could go all the way up to +30 right now if it was max rolls. So we only got 70% of the potential amount of stats given, right? That's what that means. That's what that's kind of getting at. We're gonna keep it for now. That's kind of a rip. I would really love to have seen that go a little higher. I do apologize. I did not notice. I thought I had the calculator always set up to go in the correct spot. So I do apologize that you guys missed the last one I did. Okay, so this one's going to be rough. We're going to roll it, but it's probably going to be trash. It's already not even at the higher end for the base top. And crit damage is at 7 out of 10. The min being 5. So we're not looking so great on this one. And the mins, oh man, this is just... You know what? We're not even gonna roll it because it's all minimums. It's all minimums there. Let's just unlock that piece of gear and call it good for the day on that one. Okay, let's go over to this one. This is HP defense, which is also, that's great. Speed and precision. Speed is super impactful. Precision is super impactful. This is a mid roll on the precision. The speed is a little low at 4. I would like to see this about a 5, but it's okay. Defense is at 8, so we're in the middle to upper range. So let's go ahead and roll that one up, and we'll see what we can get out of this. Hopefully we can squeeze something pretty good out of it. Attack percentage pieces of gear are just really hard to justify keeping unless they have other stats you really need. You're not going to use a whole lot of bleed and or bomb, or not bomb, sorry, bleed and or ignite champions. So it's really hard to justify keeping too many attack percent piece rings if they don't have the crit rate, crit damage that you need to synergize with a normal DPS or nuker type character. Okay, so this is flat defense. This is going to be a rip. Flat HP. Now this is attack percent, crit rate, crit damage again with the flat HP. Crit damage is at a 6, which is 1 above min, and a crit rate is at 5, which is 1 above min. I'm gonna go ahead and we're just gonna rip this one right off the get-go because we're already at the minimum rolls. Chances of this redeeming itself is very slim. Because it's an attack percent, we would need a lot of rolls into crit rate and crit damage to justify it and be able to still pull off the crit rate that we need on the account. Flats, flat again. Okay, here it goes. Now this rolled 2 into defense. Okay, so this is 22 out of 30 potentially. So what does that put us on the percentile here? So 22 divided by 30, 0.73. It's a little bit better than the last one we did. Still not the greatest, but we'll go ahead and we'll keep it. It's not terrible. But like I said, this is where that going back in the system and doing like your 6s and your 9s, getting them up to 12, that's where this really comes into play. And really, I'll be going back through here and I'll be double checking all the other gear I have. And I'll probably get rid of it because right now we have the equipped gear hidden and we're not gonna take any of these pieces of gear up to 15 for now. So that'll be a later one when we simplified, we really go through everything, and that's gonna be a long video. So I definitely don't wanna bore you guys too awful much with this. All right, so let's keep going through here. Notice we haven't really, we're almost done with the warrior sets. So we're making some progress, but it takes a long time. That's why I said this whole endeavor, it could really, get something good, get something entertaining out of this to go along with it. Okay, so this is an HP percentage. However, this is focus, precision, and crit damage. All these stats are great. However, because this is an HP percent main, chances are this is going to go to support. So this can only really roll focus is what I'm going to be looking for. And maybe if it rolls good precision, we'll keep it. But more than likely, this has to roll on focus to make it worth it, because the HP percent has to synergize with some other stat in this kit. And unfortunately, HP percent does not synergize correctly with crit damage. Okay, hide here. Keep moving forward. I am kind of saving these. These are my scapegoats for later if I absolutely need them. This is defensive percent with crit damage. That's trash. Nope. That one's got potential. Also potential. I don't like it when they all have potential. It makes my job a lot harder, right? Makes it a lot harder. Once again, attack percent, defense percent, HP. These rainbows are just not good. Get rid of the rainbows. Always get rid of them. It's kind of a no-brainer. Oof. We're gonna get rid of it. It's just not gonna justify the means. Minerals. Ooh, we got mineral like just above a min. Yeah, no, this yeah, just above the min. Defense is it's mid-roll too. I'm gonna get rid of it. It's a flat stat. It's not worth it. Not worth it in the long run. It's hard calls like that you got to make when you're trying to do an in-game gear cleanse. It's just one of those things where you have to make the hard calls and kind of live with it. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna live with it because, like I said, I've already made it to the end game. So even if I were to trash all these pieces of gear right here, yeah, I would lose some potential hidden gems. Oof, 2 in a flat. That's instant rip. But I would lose a few hidden gems, so to speak. But at the end of the day, what am I really losing out on? Because I've already beat the content. So if I only keep like the best of the best of the best, it's okay. At the end of the day, that's not a bad thing. I don't know why I kept this. This is a rainbow. That's instant trash. Attack, HP, focus, flat, HP, focus, crit damage, and the crit damage is even at 6. We're not gonna keep that one. That was probably for the mid-game gear cleanse video. That was not paying attention to the chart above me. I hope you guys have been paying attention to the chart above me, because it really does drive a lot of these decisions. Like, look at this one. This is a +9 out of 10.5. Defense is 8 out of 10. Resistance is a 7 out of 10. These are all about mid to upper tier, and this is on a base of 9 for HP. So this has a lot of great potential for the stats. So this is why we make those kind of calls. So I hope you guys are paying attention to the stats we're keeping on pieces of gear as we're going through these, because they do make a difference. It really does shape my decision as to what I'm going to be doing with that piece of gear. See, we got one here, which that's a 20 potential out of a 14. So 14 into 20.7, that's pretty low to justify it. And we rolled a flat. That's an instant rip. And it's stuff like that that makes it easy. Like, this makes it so simple to say, hey, nope, it's not worth it at the end of the day. And we'll keep feeding it back in there, and then it'll just go faster. Like, we're just sort through things faster. HP, attack, focus, damage. It's got flat attack. I'm just gonna go ahead and call it trash now. Okay, we have HP, percent, focus, precision, resistance. Now, resistance, focus, all three of these stats really synergize really well with that HP. Mainly because precision and focus synergize so well together, and then if chances are, if you're using a champion with focus, you want them to have resistance. So all three of these stats synergize amazingly well. So this one has some good potential, and they're relatively mid-tier as far as the base rolls. So let's go ahead, let's see what we can get out of them. Almost one above. Got to remember to stay at 6, guys. Stay at 6 so that way you don't break your system. And this one rolled a flat attack, so this makes it instant trash. And this is why we do this, because pieces of gear like that you may hold on to forever and never roll it. and then you'll be in a pinch. You'll be like, I really need this really need this piece of gear. And then you'll go to roll it and you'll be like, oh crap, well, this isn't doing me any good. All right, so here we have one. This is a tough one. This is a warrior piece of gear with that defensive main with crit rate, crit damage. I can guarantee you I kept this as part of the mid tier because it has crit rate, crit damage. However, crit damage is kind of on the lower end, crit rate is on the lower end, and the main stat is defensive percent. And as of right now, we don't have any defensive percent characters that really scale correctly with crit rate, crit damage. Even Hackerin does not scale really well because he doesn't scale with the defensive percentage for his attacking. You could argue Charles, but I've tried him with crit damage. It doesn't really matter. So we're gonna say this is trash, unfortunately. Mainly because your nukers aren't going to be using defensive percent stats. That's not something they're going to typically need. Okay, so here we have a crit damage, crit rate, focus, and attack. Oh, this one I kept because it's crit damage with crit rate. That's always a really good combination. However, flat attack, this does not bode well. It is a mid-tier flat attack, but it's almost a mid or min roll for the crit rate at 5, and the focus is at 6.5, which is just right above the minimum. So we'll roll this one, but chances are this is going to be instant trash. The only nice thing is it does help me focus and get through some of this gear a little bit quicker, because it's decisions like that become super quick and apparent while you do this. Oh wow, we got lucky there. So that actually rolled into crit rate, which is ideal. That's ideally what you want. So this is a +3 in a crit rate. Because you include your base, right? So your base, and then crit rate has a maximum at +3 of 24. So you take that 8% above me for crit rate, times it by 3, that comes 24. So let's see what that is. So that's 16 into 24. This is below a 0.7. So this is below a 0.7 percentile. Chances are this is going to be trash. Chances are this is going to be really, really, really bad, and it's going to end up costing us more gold than what the investment's worth. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna trash it now. I know it's hard. I know some of you are probably cringing because you're like, oh, it's a crit damage with double crit rate. I have a lot of those, and you get a lot of those as you farm more and more gear. These become more and more common. It's not so scary to get. That one was just dumb. I don't know why I had that one there. Okay, this is an attack percent that has a base of speed, a crit rate, and HP percent. It's all percent style, which is why I kept this with speed. This is a raider piece of gear, has potential. It's probably going to be trash, but we'll go ahead and we'll roll it because, you know, that's what we're here for. We're here to roll the gear and figure out exactly what we're going to get, so we know what's worth keeping and what's not worth keeping. Also, I do want to point out we're about 37 minutes into this one right now. Oh, that went precision, speed. However, no crit rate rolls on this, and this is an attack percent. We got to have crit rate for this to really work well for us, and this also went another minimum roll on speed. So we're gonna go ahead and cut it on the on this piece of gear. But we are at, like I said, 37 minutes, and this is just on the ring tier. So notice I'm at 37 minutes. This is just on the ring tier. The amount of time that's really needed and focus needed to get through all these is insane. We still have all of this gear down here, which is quite a bit. And this is on rings, which isn't even like the most popular pieces of gear. I guess this wasn't too terrible, but it's still a lot. Still a lot of pieces of gear. I'll go ahead and continue. We'll pop through these a little bit more, and then we'll go ahead and I'll pick back up with this video on the let's go to Helms. We'll do the Helms next. All right, so we're back. We made it. We did it. I just want to show something really quick before I show you. So we got the rings are done. This brought us down to, I don't know if you noticed before, I think I was at like 3,080. It basically cuts you off like right at like 3,100. It's kind of the same as energy. When you go over on energy, it'll let you go just a smidge over. Same thing here for the gear. But we cleansed all of the rings, got us down to here. And by when I say all the rings, this is what we did. Let's pop it up, show you. Nope, wrong button. Gear, manage rings, rings. Okay, here it is. So you will notice now this is the ring section. There are not that many rings in here. We were not able to do them all. And the reason why we couldn't do them all is because a lot of these still have like potential, but I really ran out of resources. I'm not going to waste my orange, and just put that away for just a second here. I'm not going to waste my orange charms on these, and I'm not going to waste my base charms for these. So these are going to stay how they are for now. I'll go farm. Like obviously that's all I'm doing now is farming because I've entered the end game. So I'll fire more and then I'll come back and I'll just keep re-hitting this over and over again. The other thing I want you to note is you guys saw how many pieces of gear I had, right? I had a crap ton. Notice my gold level. That cost me 1 million gold. And I got rid of 300 pieces of gear. So when I tell you the gear management and the gold management and how to do it and how real it really is, here's the example. That only cost me 1 million gold to roll all those pieces up to 6 and determine what pieces were going to be trash and not trash. How many times do you roll a piece of gear and you go, okay, I'm going to roll this up to 9 or 12 because I can't roll a bad stat. This is true in some cases. Some gear just can't roll a bad stat because it's got all the stats you want. However, when you look at this chart, is it actually rolling something good or is it rolling something bad? So this is the example, right? So we were able to weed out a lot of pieces of gear because out of all those pieces of gear, we only have how many that are worth it? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of gear, 11. Out of all those, we kept 11 at +6. And even then, some of those may get weeded out, but we have only 11 pieces of gear here. Let me show that again, sorry. I'm gonna capture, there we go. 11 pieces of gear here at +6. So we still have, we went through a lot of pieces of gear and we got rid of a lot. So keep that in mind. Not just because you have a lot of pieces of gear does not mean that you have something that's perfect or definitely gonna be worthwhile. All right, let's move on to the Helms section. Now this is equally as disastrous, right? We have Helms for days. Oh my Lord, look at these Helms. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're gonna start off with our easy ones, right? We're gonna cheat mode. You know how it goes. Let's go ahead and pop that there, okay. Go down here and we're just gonna start right off the top rip and go right here. Start with this one, okay. Let's see here, this is a warrior piece. That's HP, crit rate, or crit damage, focus, okay. And these are max tier HP, max tier basically focus. Defense is min. Yeah, defense is like the min. Yeah, defense is min. Crit damage is kind of medium. Okay, so let's start that one off. We're gonna hide blocked pieces of gear. Like I said, I kind of keep these as a cheat mode for when I just need to mental fortitude just isn't there and we gotta get it. That's a save me. Ooh, precision, resistance, focus. That's really good stats, but that does not work on a warrior set. Not needed. Okay, we have attack, flat. We have attack percent, crit damage. Very, very good with precision. See, and it's stuff like this, that's what gets us. That's how we end up with so many locked pieces of gear. However, these are all support stats. You gotta get rid of it. You need at least some sort of a base stat to make it useful. Same kind of thing there. Attack percent, agility, crit damage, that has potential. Crit rate, crit damage, agility, that's got amazing potential. It's flat defense. All these three are amazing. So far, we're getting really good. I'm getting excited because I got good pieces of gear potentials. But notice that, just because it's got good potential doesn't mean it's gonna roll something delicious, We could end up with a rip potato chip because it just doesn't work out. This is on a Raider set. We're gonna go ahead and pass because I doubt those three are gonna really be needed in any particular circumstance. All right, and then that put us at 6 there. So let's go ahead and send it. See what we got. What did we get? We got, oh, look at the HP percent here, guys. This is a 19, so this is, what is that? 19 out of 20. Amazing stat here. The defense redeemed itself. This went from a 6 out of 10 to a 15 out of 20. So if we pull that up and we compare, so 6 out of 10 is 60%, right? And then a 15 out of 20, we brought that all the way up to a 7.5, 3/4%. So this piece of gear is rolling really well, and both HP and defense are amazing to have on a helm. That's HP percent, or that's flat HP. This has amazing potential if it keeps rolling these higher echelons for stats. Okay, next piece of gear. Crit rate, crit damage, precision. Now this has a flat defense. The chances of this being good are pretty slim. We'll go ahead and we'll rip that one here. We'll use our cheat sheet on these for now. Okay, we'll use part of the cheat sheet, I should say. All right, nope, rolled a flat stat, so it's instant trash. Instant trash, unfortunately. All right, so next we have is this guy right here. This is gonna be focus, agility, resistance, crit rate. Okay. Part of me really wants to I want to roll this. Let's just see what we get. See what we get. This doesn't look great. Doesn't look great. See, that's HP defense. These are hard ones. The nice thing though is these are min. These are min rolls, so we'll pass. That's where knowing what min and max are really makes a big difference. It helps you out tremendously make these calls. Now that's what agility and focus. See, agility is super nice, but agility, and it rolled a 10. Oh my god, 12 is the max right now. That's pretty good. Resistance is amazing as well to have. It's on a raider piece as well. We'll go ahead and keep it. This may be a really good support, like a fast support unit. It just doesn't have speed, but it can't have speed, right? Because it's a Helm, there could be no speed substat on this. So this could actually roll very well for a good fast support unit. So we'll keep that because it has the makings of a beautiful piece. All right, here we have a crit rate, precision, defensive percent. I don't like the defensive percent with that crit rate. However, it's got agil on it, so there's a potential use for that. Here we go. This has got some potential use here too. Let's go ahead and lock that guy. That's flat stats. Go ahead and rip that. Ooh. That can roll up just a little bit, but once again, it's probably gonna be trash. HP, defense, those synergize well. Crit rate doesn't synergize well with that whole kit though. Fortunately, that's gonna be, let's pass on that for now. Not for now, we're gonna get rid of it, I should say. Flat attack, nope. Crit rate, focus, precision. That could be useful. Crit rate is always grades a lot better than a lot of other stats do. Because like you see the card above me, the max stat for crit rate is 8 per roll. So you need a lot of crit rate to really impact the builds that you're doing. So anytime you can get like a double crit rate, it's usually pretty well, especially if you can get it without having any flat stats to go along with it. This could be good. This has got defense. This could be a good utility piece. That a flat. That's got a flat. That's got a flat. Yeah, those flats are easy rips. All right. Now this rolled crit rate, so this is a 2. So we got a 10 out of, what is that? 10 out of 16. Doesn't grade out very well. So basically 16 divided by the 10. Oh, sorry. 10 divided by the 16. There we go. That's better. That's 0.625. That's too low. That's too low to justify keeping this piece of gear. And those are the kind of math. Basically, if you can get above 0.7 as far as your math goes, then I'm going to say it's a keeper. I'm going to say it's worth keeping if you can get it above a 0.7 on the rolls. Now, who's to say this doesn't roll better and it doesn't roll again and it goes max, and that brings it up to the 0.7 minimum? However, at this point in the game, it's just not worth it. You're going against the gods, the RNG gods, to really get that. And it didn't start out great anyways, because it started off the bottom tier, just like this one here. So this will probably also do the same thing. However, it's okay. You know, if it does, it does. It's not the end of the world. And we'll make do with it. I gotta go get it though. It's a legendary piece. Here, let's go grab both of these. Okay. So this rolled, so 14, what is 14 out of 20? Does that put us at the 20 or 70? Right at the bottom edge. And then the focus is at 17 out of 20. That's very helpful. This is crit rate, crit damage, agility, and focus. This could be a potential piece of gear. So we'll definitely keep that one. It is face set, which is kind of a rip, unfortunately. But the stats, the numbers don't lie. That's the biggest thing I'm pointing out here, guys, and I hope you're noticing, is the numbers don't lie. So as long as you're paying attention to the numbers of the gear you're rolling, then you can really make a more informed decision as far as what kind of stats you're looking for. Like this has defensive and attack. It never should have been locked. And it's stuff like that. I love it when I come across gear pieces like that. That I can just be like, oh, these are no brainers. We're just going to instantly get rid of them. This is a health, focus. See, this one's rough because, like I said, resistance and focus usually synergize really, really well together. Health synergizes with the three of these. Crit damage is a rip. We'll roll it, but if this rolls crit damage, it's going to be trash. Because at that point, we don't need the crit damage on that piece of gear. You know, it'd be really nice if I could get a lot of focus and all percent stats on a raptor crown. That'd be awesome. That would be so nice. It just makes a big difference as far as what we're trying to achieve stat wise. We'll keep it. It's got the substats we kind of want to synergize. Same thing. That's rough. I hate it when we get those decisions. But luckily, that's when we roll them up to 6 and we get a good idea as to how the piece is going to roll with the substat rolls. Because that's what I'm saying. Right? We're patterning, right? We're just simply trying to pattern this out to see what's worth it. Like, have I thrown away pieces of gear that could potentially be god tier pieces of gear? Maybe. But at the end of the day, you're in game, so can you replace that piece of gear? Absolutely. It's not the end of the world. We didn't break the meta, that's for sure. All right, this one went double resistance with health and focus, which is good. So let's see here, double resistance, so that puts us at 30. So this is 24 and a half out of 30. So let's do the math, see what that gives us. 24 and a half out of 30. This puts us at a 0.81. This puts us above our 0.7. Overall stat wise is good. Like I said, we don't want crit damage on this piece of gear, so really this would need to roll maybe 1 or twice into health or focus. This would be a great piece of gear. Okay. And also, I know it does seem a little weird that we're saving those kinds of pieces of gear, but in the grand scheme of things, you're going to need full resistance, you're going to need full focus, you're going to need full precision, you're going to need full agility. Like, you need those type of pieces of gear. That way you can mismatch and build certain characters, because as we progress into the end game, like, this game's in its infancy. We're like 4 months into this game of global launch. It's very, very young. We still have at least 3 or 4 months before we see what's going to take place, like what ground this game's actually going to shape. So definitely keep that in mind as you're trying to clear out some of these pieces of gear. All right, let's see what we got here. Focus crit rate. See, that one's pretty good. We need to save that. Flats obviously is a rip. It's got agility with the focus. That's worth it. See, that makes these so hard, guys. It's just the way these roll. It's like you want to keep some of these because you're like, oh, this could be great, and then you look at the stat tier on them, and you're like, oh, well, these are bottom tier, so we just know we got to get rid of them. And other ones you're like, oh, but it could fix itself. And well, that's when you get stuck in that rabbit hole. All right, so here's a good example. So this could be a 16. This actually rolled a 13 out of 16 here, and it started on a 7. So that started off with really good high probability. It puts us at a 0.8 on the crit rate scale, and then the attack stayed mid-tier, so that puts us at 0.7 there. So that's not bad. That's actually a pretty decent piece of gear so far. So that's definitely a keeper. But I hope you guys are really focusing on how I'm doing this, like how I'm processing these numbers. See, this has a flat, but we'll go ahead and roll it because it has everything else I could really use. Okay, so yeah, see, flat stats, we just gotta get rid of these. This is rough, guys. The nice thing though is when you have these kind of hard, fast rules, it makes doing gear cleanses super easy because you know exactly what your cutoffs are. You know, like I know what my math check is to say this is a good piece of gear and a bad piece of gear. So this saves me the heartache of going, oh, is this bad? Is this good? Now there are a few pieces of gear, and I was hoping I'd come across some of these while doing this gear cleanse. I have not yet. where you get one that rolls really well. So say for example, this were to roll max here, but then a min here, and these are both the stats you wanted. Then they justify each other. In this case, you know, this is a 16 out of 20, which that grades out to 0.7, right? 0.8, sorry. And this one is a 10 out of, well, it's a 10 out of 12 or 10 out of 16. So that actually grades out a little lower. Actually, this may be exactly, this is an exact example. So now we have a 16 and a plus a 0.8. And then if we divide it by 2, where does that put us? 7. So we still justify our means. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about the numbers in this case. So this still justifies, this meets the justification. Where's another piece of gear here? There it is. We'll go ahead and we'll roll this one up. This will probably be it, guys. We'll roll this one up. I'm really, like, the more I think about this, I could go through here and give you guys a really hard, fast rules, which I have, right? If you watch this video, if you are watching it up to this point, you are dedicated. I appreciate you, because we are like 40 minutes into this video. I appreciate you, and I really love the support and the ads that you gave me, and I hope this really helped you out. But I think at this point you should have gotten kind of the idea as to how this is working out, especially if you're in game, because you probably had the same kind of thought process. However, you're just looking for somebody to kind of confirm or tell you one way or the other, right? So I hope this helped you out. I really do. And let's get this last piece of gear determined here, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll do a little consensus and call it good. All right, this one started off at 9. This is both mid-tier rules, so it went to 16. 16 out of 20. I mean, it still grades out good, right? 16 out of 20 does not grade out terribly. 0.8. So it's definitely still worth it. It meets our check. So we'll go ahead and we'll keep that piece of gear. But I hope that explains a lot of how this works out. And like I said, it saves a lot of gold when you do it my way of the refeeding in all those extra pieces. And eventually we'll come back and this will be gone. I won't have this 2600. This will be down to probably like 500-600 pieces of gear total when I have it done. And all the pieces of gear will be at least legit. So that'll be nice. And that's why you do these type of gear cleanses. But I definitely recommend you don't do these type of gear cleanses until you hit that end game. If you're doing this before you hit the end game, you're going to be selling yourself really short on completing a lot of content. I used really bad gear to beat a lot of content, guys. It doesn't have to be god tier gear, but I definitely take my time and I make smart decisions when I roll gear up to 15. And that's what saved a lot of my resources, because charms are such a block in this game that you need to do these type of gear cleanses often and frequently. So that way you know what you're dealing with. You know what gear you have, you know what you need to farm. And this will appropriately help you with making those judgment calls on what's good and what's bad. Hope this video helped you. I hope you liked it. I know it was a long one. Thank you for staying till the end, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.